Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thanks again for joining us today in this webinar. I wanted to talk briefly about coding and cover the most important questions. Why learn how to code? So to begin with, I just want all of you to have a visual of a smart world ahead of us. Since we are living in the United Arab Emirates, we already have seen the changes on our own. I mean, no one can relate it to the same United Arab Emirates, which was there last maybe 15, 20 years back. And now what you can see is completely different. And if you even have pictures, no one is going to believe of that. And I hope this visual is with you of the smart world. So as cities begin to evolve into the smart world, there is a growing need for us to know about technology, and it is really, really important uh, concept, which is because we need to know how to use technology to improve our life and work. For example, if we buy the latest phone, for example, at this moment, and you notice, uh, I mean, since you have been using a previous model, you know the basic, um, basic things to use. Basic functionalities of that particular phone. But none of us, now, um, try to understand why this particular technology, how it has been, how it is improved. Let's say a camera, or let's say the networking. How is it helping us? I mean, so it is very important for us to know technology because we can use it to improve our life and our work immensely. Um, and this is one of the basic understanding of technology which we need to have in this current um time and age. Okay, so for the ones who are not aware what is coding, just for them, I just wanted to reiterate: coding is the language of the modern world. Codes are just set of instructions in a language that any software or hardware can understand. So when we talk about when we all okay, so yeah, coding is the language which the programmers use to give computer instructions. So basically, we are now dealing with anything, whatever is in front of us, any smart device, any electronic device for that matter. It has um, coding involved in it, whether it's an app that brings us an email to our phone or mobile, or the car that that knows when we need to refuel, it gives us a warning sign, and so on. So anything which we have in part as part of our smart world needs code instruction to tell us how to operate and communicate with the outside world. So the world without coding at this particular time and age, or currently, would be very hard to imagine anything which doesn't use coding. Uh, yeah. So coming back to the question, why learn how to code? I have settled on some of the reasons which will justify why to learn coding and how it's going to help. And the first reason being to understand how technology works. As the former president of USA, Mr. Obama, had said, don't just play with technology. It is not there for us to play with. You need to learn how to program. You need to understand uh, the complexities of a technology, how it is helping us in a certain way. So how can we understand technology if we don't know how it works? So that brings back to the question: to understand technology, we need to learn coding, because coding is a language which is used in all computer programs, apps, or websites, whatever is around us. So we only will begin to understand technology if you understand the code that runs it. To stay competitive in this digital era, we need to know how to read and write, of course, even a simplest of code. We need to understand how it works and how it runs. Reason number two being coding is really helpful. It helps us to think better. Everyone in this world should learn how to program because it teaches you how to think. This is said by the great Steve Jobs, who's no more. But he mentioned, he made it a standard that coding should be taught or learned, in fact, because it helps you to think in a certain way. And coding gives us that ability, a new perspective to, thinking or problem solving, for example. It also teaches us to think sequentially. Let's say, like telling a story where you need to establish a goal and how, plan around it and how to reach that particular goal in a specific order. So if you break that sequence when you're even telling a story, or if you're not following the plan, you know that your story will not work, your code definitely will not work. Just like life, nothing will work. So you need to have a goal. You need to know what you need to do to get there. Some people get there eventually, but maybe the path is a shortcut or a misery. But in terms of philosophically also, I mean, if you don't have a sequence to things, you are not going far. So another way to see coding is, I mean, it is also part of a major component of coding is that it breaks down big problems into manageable parts, into smaller parts, into small functions. For example, if I have to build a house, I need to know what needs to go there as a base, how the pillars should be, what the gate should be, the window should be facing this way, and so on. I mean, so the main aspect of coding is it breaks down the bigger problem into small manageable parts, so it's easier, it's easily dealt with, and it doesn't look very difficult. And it teaches this iterative approach to solve problems and testing out solutions to these problems. It is really, really helpful for you to think in a specific way. And using this kind of thinking process, which we see nowadays, students have great thinking process, but they don't know how to implement it. And coding is going to help you in that particular way. The next reason being to build our knowledge and become a better and skilled worker. Whether you're a student or you're a job, you will definitely be a much skilled person and much more productive if you have learned coding as part of your skill set. So again, I added quotes so that it's really helpful. So Drew Houston, the Dropbox founder, one of the most popular iCloud services which you use in the world. So he said, creating value just from an idea is empowering, like having superpowers. So as I said, once we have a specific value, an idea, if we successfully get that ideation process, the implementation process will help on its own if you know coding. And everything, as I said, in the smart world is related to coding. And as more jobs are transformed to become digital, learning how to code will open up a lot more employment opportunities. For example, it enhances your creativity and provides a tool to create a world of endless possibilities. Nowadays, I mean, if you are into brainstorming, if you notice a person who is very well thought in their thinking process, or if they are very skilled, they can come up with much better solutions, or at least they can be better equipped to solve a problem. And adding coding skills to the your professional life adds real value to your job. This skill will become a niche for any job. So you always need to be better to get ahead of the pack. Even when the whole world was shut down, I just want to give you this example, which is a current scenario. The companies which had the IT scope of work, or companies who have moved digitally, who have transformed their company digitally, were not affected economically compared to the ones who are still, in the pre-digital age in terms of their management of company or the processes they use. So this is a very good wake up call, saying that coding is going to help and solve, and I mean it is not going to help businesses as well. Another example, Mitch Resnick, MIT Media Labs, again, a very popular um, Google uh, version. MIT Media Labs is basically an open source Google platform, which and he's the founder of that, and he put it very concisely. Coding is a gateway to broader learning. So when you learn to read, once you know how to read, you can read to learn. So you can learn more things. Let's say philosophy or any other aspect of. So the main criteria being you being able to read. Similarly, if you do the same with coding, if you learn to code, you can code to learn. You can learn much more things as we see the newer technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, augmented reality, biotechnology. All of this will come very easily. So if, and I mean, not to generalize anything, even if you don't want to be a coder, it's still worth your time because computers have already become a part of your everyday life, and learning to code is only going to improve your way of life. And coming to the end of it, I mean, I just want all of you to give it a shot. It might be intimidating. I mean, everyone thought coding is actually difficult at start, but once you get the hang out hang of it, it really gets it opens your understanding of the complexities of the technologies, and it is going to just make you much more skilled. And we have numerous examples of so many uh, home-based owners, entrepreneurs have gone into the digital world, have invested in technology so that they know what is coming up ahead and they are always ahead of time. So instead of how technology can disrupt jobs, why not be equipped with coding, which is a very important skill at this time frame to control the technology. We always think of things like, technology is going to replace our job. We have machineries instead of men who were, into packaging, or now we don't need, we have robots who can take attendance in class. So, I mean, all of that is actually helping mankind, and we see the negatives of it, that okay, we are replacing jobs with technology, but why not be equipped with coding so that we are part of this technology, we are the ones controlling the technology, how to think of this, what needs to be done if there is a wrong package, what do we need to do. So all this involves coding, and this is where you can be part of the technology, and of course the utopian world coming ahead. So the modern language is so central, the coding is so central to business life, that the common mantra around the technology experts currently is that the today's children will need to learn to code or get coded. So this is what the scenario is. You can see the comparison uh, very well made, and it's not a hyperbole. It is something which is happening really quick, and uh, we have to sit on that same bus instantly, or else you're going to miss it and we might fall behind. Fortunately for everyone, young and old, we have now, it has been made very easier to learn to code. There are so many softwares and tools, and which has made coding and logical thinking and computational thinking much, much easier and faster. So I have put up some of the tools which we will be using as well. So there are plenty of coding tools. I mean, if you learn the basics of programming, you can apply it anywhere. So if you want to make games, if you're focused into making games, you're interested in making games, all you need to do is understand this programming language, learn the logic behind it, and then apply it to make meaningful games. You can make Mario games, for example, using the Kodu Game Lab app. It's really simple. Similarly, if you want to make apps, you can use an application called Thunkable app, and you can make and publish real apps on Google Store. So there is no limitation to what you want to do. Once you know the programming language, you are well ahead in terms of doing anything you want, because all the solutions which I'm saying we are talking about is a digital solution. Right. I actually wanted to avoid this point, right? So, a software coder can earn more than $100,000 a year. I mean, it can be a game changer. I wanted to avoid that point, but somehow it is inevitable. I mean, not to talk about it. Coding and programming careers have great earning potentials, and everyone knows it. Learning to code offers career flexibility. That means even if it is not related to coding, I'm just a HR manager. I need to know a bit of coding so that how I mean, if there is someone who is misusing the technology and hiding their absentees, for example, so I need to know coding. I need to know how it works. Coding can be also useful in jobs you might not expect, which is as I said, even if we are talking about teaching or now everywhere you will see all of this is related. Because of COVID, we all had, virtual or hybrid classes. So, now the teachers have reached a level of understanding in terms of coding language. That's how they can operate certain tools which can help students in their teaching method. So to end, I mean, the power of coding is very immense. Coding is a game changer, and the ones who are skilled in coding have a competitive advantage in career. That is a fact. And it is true that computer programming was once recognized as a skill reserved for computer geeks or nerds, right? But it is now very popular and it is considered an essential ability and of course added advantage in job profiles. If you know coding and a person who's not coding, who knows coding, they are going to definitely prefer a person who knows coding. So learning to code can be also a fun bonding opportunity for families. I have seen, I mean, in our teaching industry, we have seen parents also being involved and trying coding with the students when they are learning. We see two different codes being told, and then later on they discuss with each other how the output is, how the parent has went about trying to do this code, and how the student has done it. So, I mean, it makes a very fun bonding opportunity for families also. So, it's a whole holistic approach. All right. To conclude, let me share a joke with you. I had heard this was a long time back. I mean, there was a conversation between a tourist and a scientist. The tourist was arguing, Spanish is a better language to learn because, a lot of countries use Spanish to communicate. So if you are a tourist, you can go to these countries and having learned Spanish is going to add a great advantage for communicating with the locals and so on. But the scientist then, said, I mean, if you have to learn something, learn programming language is what you need to learn. If you learn that and understand it, you can actually make an application which can translate any language to your own without any hassle of mispronunciations and understanding and so on. And so you can use this to your advantage where, I mean, learning Spanish, French, which one should I learn? What is the best opportunity? I mean, instead of, I mean, of course, not saying that being bilingual is not is a great skill to have, but since it's part of the joke, if you learn programming language, you can do a lot more. Uh, uh, and since computer language understands coding and that will help you to interact with computers and you can have yourself a great time, just communicating and interacting with the computers and machines and so on. All right, let's conclude. And these are some of the questions. I mean, I would want all of you to answer. Do you see how learning code could benefit your kids or students through this activity? If yes, please leave a comment. Have you learned any new things about coding through this presentation? If yes, then again, also you can just comment on the comment section. Or if you have any questions, comment, or concerns regarding coding, you can definitely uh, ask, ask me about it. All right. Thank you. Bye bye. See you next time.